Good afternoon, everyone. I pray that your Thursday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, times of introspection, times where maybe you tended in your garden, maybe you created a new dish in your kitchen, maybe you crocheted something, maybe you painted a picture, just doing anything that gives you joy. I know this is kind of late for me to be coming on, but I had spent the day kind of just moving at my own pace. I want to continue our conversation. Yesterday we talked about the two types of people we should be pessimistic about, and I want to focus a little bit more on persons who are narcissistic. I have on my glasses because I'm going to be reading to help us along with this as we engage in this conversation. So, narcissism. The word narcissist is a term regularly used in common discussion to describe anyone who seems a bit self-involved. Now, that could be any of us on any given day, particularly in this age of social media with all the selfies, but it really goes a little bit deeper than that. So some of the traits we want to look at is people who may have narcissistic personality disorders or some of those traits. They can be preoccupied with their own success, and they have a grand sense of self-importance that influences their decision-making and interactions. They're not great team players because it's always about them and how it will benefit them. And if a suggestion comes up that it may be a great suggestion, but because they did not come up with it, they will not use it because it takes the focus off of them. The reality is, underneath most narcissists is someone with very little self-esteem. Someone whose self-esteem is so small that they have to project and project to be much larger than what they are. Some of the traits that they're listed are some of the elements of narcissism: having a sense of self-importance or grandiosity. I am the best, I am the ish, I am all that in a bag of chips. And that's good for us to have a good sense of self, but as I always talk about, it's good to operate in balance. They experience fantasies about being influential, famous, and or important. In their mind, they're a lot bigger than what they are. And one way I can help you to kind of have a model to look at, there's a great book called The Wizard of Oz and Other Narcissists. And if you think about in The Wizard of Oz and the story of The Wizard of Oz, the wizard had a commanding voice, ran a whole city of Oz, had everyone bowing down to him. But when Toto pulled the curtain, all you saw was a really scared person who was hiding behind this large facade. And that's true for most narcissists. They have an inflated idea of how special, how important they are. In that same vein, they will exaggerate their abilities, their talents, and their accomplishments. Oh, I'm the best. I do this better than anyone else. And they will say those things. They will promote those things, even if their real skills don't meet that level. Another trait is they crave admiration and acknowledgement. They are like sponges for hearing how great they are, how good a job they're doing. Some of you, another example of narcissism sometimes comes forth in some politicians. They're not necessarily very good at what they do. They do not necessarily have the background for what they do, but according to them, they are the best. And they do it more gooder than anyone else. And everything that they think of is the most brilliant thing that's ever happened before. And we're going to break down, there's two types of narcissists. One is covert and one is overt. And overt, we can really recognize. There was a children's fiction, like a nursery, and it talked about the emperor's new clothes. And the emperor was walking around completely nude, but he had everyone around him. They had so bought into keeping his ego intact that no one told him that he was naked. They all bought into his fantasy. That's kind of what it's like for overt narcissists. They have to feel like whatever they say or do is the most important thing in the world, that only they are right. They're preoccupied with beauty, with love, with power or success. It becomes an obsession for them. They have an exaggerated sense of being unique. They feel there's nobody else like me. I am unique. You couldn't possibly understand what I'm going through because no one's experienced it the same way I have. And I have had clients who come into therapy with that idea, believing that what they have experienced, that they are the only people who have ever experienced. I'm not like everybody else. You know, my experience is much more unique. It was much bigger. It had much more peril than someone else's. They believe that the world owes them something. They have little chips on their shoulder. They believe that people owe them, that people need to meet up to their standards before they can even adequately deal with them. And they believe in exploiting others to get what they want, no matter how it impacts others. And that's really important, exploiting others to get what you want, no matter how it may impact others. People who are willing to put people's safety on the line, to put people's lives on the line, to make people targets for other people simply because that's what they want, without caring or thinking about how it may impact anybody else, how it may even impact the persons they've gotten to do their bidding. And the last thing, which is not last but not least, is probably more important, is they lack empathy towards other people. Their feelings, as far as they're concerned, is their feelings are much more important than the feelings of somebody else. Now, I've said a lot, and some of you may be thinking, oh, I know somebody who fits that. I know someone who fits that. But what I don't want us to do is to automatically decide, well, this is a person I have difficulty getting along with, or this is someone I don't like, so therefore they must be a narcissist. What I would invite us to look at as we kind of work through this in the days to come is to pay attention to if these signs or traits are being manifested in people in your life, whether it's your parents or your children or your partners or your spouses. And we will also talk about the effect that it may be having on you and how you can set good boundaries for yourself if in fact you find yourself dealing with someone who has narcissistic tendencies. I want to end now and give us some time to reflect. You may want to play this video again. Some people I know, as they listen to my videos, they say they take notes, and that's a good thing. You may want to do that. You may want to Google for yourself some of the key signs of narcissists so that as we continue this conversation, you can bring forth comments that are particular to you, or you can add to the discussion. We're going to try to do this intentionally and on purpose. I know here in this part of where I live in Maryland, it's a beautiful day. And so I invite you, if you're able, to go outside and get a little sunshine and do something that makes you smile. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Love you much. Bye-bye.